Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi here in the town of Miami Lakes. I'm Mayor Manny Sid, and we have a great guest today. We have State Representative Tom Fabricio. Tom, how you doing?
I'm great, Manny. Thank you so much for having me on.
We really, really appreciate you coming on. I wanted to thank some of our sponsors. We're powered by Miami Lakes Auto Mall. Fred Senra, you're the man. We really appreciate you. 16600 Northwest 57th Avenue in Miami Lakes, 305-455-3540. The car business is booming, and if you need to get a car, they're a great place to go to. Our food sponsor today, Joseph, brought some great food for you, for our entire production team, and our production team, the Matter Lakes Bears. These folks do a great job every day. This is a live classroom, which is really special. It hasn't been done before, but it's really, really cool, and it's turned into an entire academy. So our guest today, State Representative Fabricio, I wanted to break the ice like this. Partisan campaign, specifically in a presidential year, throughout the nation, in every single state, Republicans and Democrats, they sort of, ride the coattails of their nominee. One of the people that I can say who earned their position, regardless of nominee, who knocked on 20,000 doors, was State Representative Fabricio. When I went to Tallahassee, the amount of respect that he garnered because of his work ethic from both sides of the aisle was something refreshing, because people are like, hey, this guy just didn't, file. He just didn't sit back and say, hey, whatever happens with my race. No. He worked it so hard that when I went up to Tally, everybody was like, no, this guy earned it. And I heard that from both Democrats and Republicans. So that campaign, how hard was it? Knocking on doors, getting out there. You were knocking on twice a day. You had two shifts. That portion of the grind people don't always see, but I want you to kind of give folks a glimpse of that, because I went out there one day with you, and that was just one day, but you did it so many days for months and months and months and months. Talk to us about that.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. So I'll take it back. I had been looking at this seat for some time, and serving our state and our community up in Tallahassee was something that I was very interested in doing. I think we need to have a good high level of support and representation in Tallahassee. And I filed in August of 2019, and we immediately started campaigning, and I knocked on about 7,000 doors to get petitions. I wanted my name to appear on the ballot by petition. I wanted it to appear because folks that live in the district put their name on a piece of paper and said, yeah, we want Tom Fabricio's name to appear on the ballot. So I went out there, a gentleman that worked on my campaign, who's now in legislative aid, he and I personally
Nikita, shout out to Nikita.
Yes, Nikita is the secret weapon. So we walked and knocked on a lot of doors and spoke to people and spent time at the doors and actually talking to people, asking them what the issues were, how we could help, and asking for their support for my name to appear on the ballot. We got that support. We got over 1,000 petitions before. It was about January of the election year that we got the petitions. We got them done, and then we kept on knocking on doors for the primary. We worked very hard, and thankfully we had the support from folks throughout the district, from Miramar all the way down to Doral here in Miami Lakes, and we just kept on working. I thought that my secret advantage in campaigning was that I actually enjoyed being out there at the doors. And to be honest with you, I miss it, and I'm looking forward to being back out there. I'll be back out there this Saturday again, knocking on doors, this time for my good friend Steve Bovo.
Good. No, knocking on doors, that is the most important part of campaigning. But you went to HML, you're a Trojan, you grew up in the area, you love the area. Why get into public service? Why have that? And I know maybe your legal career has inspired that, your family, but talk to us about the why. I think a lot of what we do on the podcast revolves around that why. Why
Sure.
do you do what you do?
Well, so I truly do believe that it's all of our duties to participate in whatever way we can. It's a great country, and it's provided so much for me and my family. My father came to this country through Operation Pedro Pan, and it's the best country on earth, unequivocally, no questions. And I want to be part of that. I want it to be part of making that, continuing that. And I wanted to participate in whatever way I could. And I found that running for state government was the way to do it. I have two little girls also. I wanted them to understand and to see that, we go out there, we work hard, we apply ourselves, and we can win. You can do anything you apply yourself in this country. So that's mainly it. And there are issues that we're very interested in. The blasting issue, it's critical. It affects my home every day. My house shakes. During COVID, when we were all home, locked down, we felt our home shake, every day, 3, 4 times a week. The folks in the district, specifically in the PSN area, in the Miami Lakes area, in the West Royal Oaks area, they feel their homes shake every day, and that's an issue that we need to work on. The traffic issue, it's something that we need to work on. There's still things that need to be done in order to improve our traffic situation and improve traffic flow, but also to make sure that things don't get out of control.
No, you're absolutely right. And I spent 7 years up in the legislature as an aide, so I know how hard it is to pass a bill. A lot of people, there's a misconception, right, that you file a good idea and it's going to pass. No, no, no. You file a good idea. You got to find a Senate sponsor, which I know Manny Diaz works with us very closely, works with you very closely, he's our senator. But you also got to go through committees. You got to deal with chairmen that don't know our issues too well, from other parts of the state. They get lobbied by special interests. So yeah, talking about the blasting issue, when I went up there, I heard it from leadership. I heard it from even the other side of the aisle, the amount of work that you put into it.
Thank you.
And it is tough because at the end of the day, you're one out of 120. We had State Representative Rizzo with us as well, but there's 118 other state representatives. And there's chairmen of committees that have a lot of power over these things. So I know that how long the process takes sometimes. So at your first session, how did you feel? Going up there, my first year up there, I remember driving on Appalachian Parkway and looking at the Capitol and saying, man, this is wild that I'm going to be working in there. I'm a kid from Hialeah, Miami Lakes. How is this even possible? I'm sure you had those same feelings, but once you talk to us about your first impression going into the Capitol, saying, man, I'm here. I made it. Now I gotta deliver.
But it was, and I tell people this, and people think it's one of the things people say, but it really is a huge honor to be up there. When we push the button on the desk when we're voting on bills, we're pushing the button. I'm pushing the button for close to 175,000 people, and it really is a huge responsibility and a huge honor. And if you could see on my social media, there's a picture of when we first arrived in the Capitol, and it was very special. So
that's amazing. The blasting issue. Jump into that. I know you worked it very hard. You're working with our with our committee. How do we see the future happening on that? And again, I prefaced it because a lot of people don't know how Tallahassee works. I think, and again,
right.
you file a good idea. It might be a good idea to us, but you got other folks, other interests throughout the state that we have to combat. And I saw that we're one of the largest states in the union. We're if we were a standalone economy, I think we're like in the top 15 in the world, right? And it's pretty hard to get these things done, but it's doable. And I have faith that you're going to be able to move it forward. But what's the game plan going forward? How do you see that happening?
Sure. So the blasting bill that we filed this session, it was effectively the first bill that I filed. And that was my campaign promise, that the first bill I file will be the bill to lower the blasting levels and to repeal the DOA litigation ban so that lawsuits can be filed here for damages to the blasting. We did exactly the bill that I had spoken about during the campaign that had been asked for by the folks in the community. And the bill was filed. It was referred to committee. And I lobbied the committee chair. Every single member of that committee, I went to their offices. I sat down with them. I spoke to them about the bill, and I explained to them why it's such an important bill for us here in Northwest Miami-Dade and Southwest Broward. And I picked up co-sponsors. I had several, obviously Representative Rizzo, who works very closely and is a huge supporter, co-sponsored the bill, as well as Representative David Barrero and several others. And we got support for the bill. The committee chair was adamantly opposed to the bill. He had issues with it. We discussed potential changes to the bill that he objected to in order to move it forward because we wanted some movement with the bill. I wanted a committee hearing, and I wanted to be able to bring folks from the community up to appear at that hearing to testify. But unfortunately, after speaking with the Speaker of the House, the governor's office, Lieutenant Governor, the CFO's office several times, we were unfortunately unable to get a hearing for it. And like you mentioned, the legislature in the House, we have 120 members. In the Senate, we have 40 members. So it's 160 people that you got to get to swim in the same direction to some degree. And to give you an idea of, and you know very well, but to give your listeners a little bit of an idea of how the process works and what happens, one of the other bills that I filed was a telehealth bill. So telehealth, as I'm sure you know, and some of your listeners may know, is a process where folks can visit their doctor through FaceTime, through a video call, and their doctor would be able to give them a prescription medication, so they don't actually have to get in the car, go to the office, wait for hours. And I think it's a very good law because allowing telehealth allows folks to have those medical consultations and not have to wait in waiting rooms or travel. And I know, like, for example, my grandmother, before she passed away, she spent a lot of time in her elder years having to go and sit in waiting rooms. It's not ideal. So the telehealth bill, just about everybody agreed was a great idea. And as a matter of fact, through the governor's executive order during COVID, it was permitted. You can go and get your medication, prescription medication, from a telehealth visit. So I worked on that bill because I thought it was very important. It was actually also something I talked about during the campaign that we picked up from talking to people on the street. And I filed the bill, and I immediately got blowback from committee chairs on that bill. They didn't like it. There was potential concerns, and I worked that bill, not as hard as I worked the blasting bill, but I worked that bill. And ultimately, I got that bill through committee, and I passed it on the House floor, unanimously on the House floor.
Wow.
But it unfortunately got stuck in the Senate, and it didn't pass the Senate, so it's not going to make it to the governor's desk this year. But that's like the blasting bill for us. That's a good bill. That's a good idea. That's a good thing for the people of Florida.
Common sense idea.
Right. And that didn't pass. But like the blasting bill, I'm going to file that bill again next session, and we're going to keep working it because I think that's good for the people of Florida.
No, you're absolutely right. Telehealth, I mean, is a game changer. Accessibility to quality healthcare has to continue, and that it makes it that much more affordable for people.
That's right. And also, beyond affordability, imagine if there's a specialist that may only be in the Jacksonville area, and we have folks here in Miami Lakes or in Hialeah. Now they can go see that specialist in Jacksonville, who may be the specialist for their area of medicine that they need, and without having to travel to Jacksonville. So I think it's a very important law in Florida. But again, that's not my most important issue. My most important issue was the blasting bill. But like the blasting bill didn't pass this session, unfortunately, that bill didn't pass either. We did have other wins. We were able to bring money back to the district, including
$440,000 for
That's right.
drainage in Miami Lakes, which is so needed. We know that rainy season's coming up, so thank you. You, Representative Rizzo, State Senator Diaz, for fighting for that, because those dollars are much needed in our community.
So what I'll tell you is that there's 4 of us that work very closely, and it's Senator Manny Diaz Jr., Representative Alex Rizzo, and Representative Brian Avila. The 4 of us, we all represent Hialeah. And what we say is, if you represent any part of Hialeah, you represent all of Hialeah. And it goes for all of Northwest Miami-Dade County. And we worked very hard in order to get that money specifically for Miami Lakes. There are other drainage projects that didn't go through this year, but we will be filing those drainage projects again because flooding is an issue. I mean, it's absolutely an issue. When it rains, there are parts of Miami Lakes and Northwest Dade that flood. I've walked through them. I've been out there when it's happening, and even in parts of Hialeah and in Lago Grande where it floods to close to your knees. We have a flooding issue in Northwest Dade that needs to be dealt with, and these water projects are important, and we're certainly going to go back and bring more money back. This session, we brought $440,000 here to Miami Lakes. In the projects that I touched, which some of them were with Senator Diaz and some of them were with Representative Rizzo, I was able to bring back close to $5.6 million for District 103.
Wow.
it's a win. It's a win. Unfortunately, the prior representative wasn't able to do that. But we're working very hard, and we're going to keep working to fund these projects here, which are the flooding projects and the meals, the senior meal projects, which I think are critically important for our community. We have senior citizens, and these centers allow them to not only get meals but get services and socialize. And hopefully soon, now with the COVID restrictions being rolled back a bit, we're going to get those senior centers open again and the comedores open again, and we're going to have the folks socializing, and we're going to re-engage those as quickly as possible.
Good, good. No, that's great to hear that you'll be refiling the blasting bill, which I know is your priority. You'll be refiling the telehealth bill, which is a game changer for Florida. And also, yeah, shout out to Brian Avila and Ana Maria Rodriguez. They're honorary Miami Lakers. They're great friends, and they've always stepped up to help us out. As we wrap up the conversation today, I know one of the important things, especially for future generations, is taking care of our environment. I know you all did something very important when it comes to Biscayne Bay.
Yes.
If you want to touch upon that, because that is the life of Dade County, our tourism, everything that happens. And we know when you and I were growing up and we would go to South Beach or Miami Beach that we would get a chapapote, the tar
That's right.
on our feet. And a lot of the young folks don't remember that, but back then it was everywhere. So we know how important it is to take care of those things, because it ultimately takes care of us, and that's what builds Miami the way it is. So what did you all do this year for Biscayne Bay?
Well, Brian Avila filed a bill that went through the agricultural. Well, it went all the way through. But I sit on as in addition to other committees, I sit on the agricultural appropriations committee, and we heard his bill with regard to forming a commission to ensure the cleanup and the maintenance of Biscayne Bay. We got to make sure that the fish kills aren't happening. We need to make sure that the water quality in Biscayne Bay is maintained. It's funny because this last weekend I was up at Legoland with my girls, and Legoland is now at what used to be Cypress Gardens.
Yep.
And Cypress Gardens, as you know, predates Disney World. Disney World's a great company, but Cypress Gardens was there before. And one of the things that brought folks to Florida, even before Disney, was, and I don't like to call it agro-tourism, but they came down here because of the environment in Florida, because of the climate, and to see the trees and the alligators and the nature that we have. And that's still a critically important part of our state. It's a critically important part of Miami-Dade County. Having the beaches, having the water quality, we absolutely need to have that. We need to preserve Biscayne Bay. I'm 100% on board with Brian's initiatives to make sure that we maintain Biscayne Bay clean.
No, I appreciate that, Representative. Hey, we flip the script sometimes here, and if you got any questions for me, we always kind of turn it around. I mean, you got anything you wanna throw my way?
Well, Mayor, let me ask you this: what more can I do to make sure that I'm serving the folks here in Miami Lakes and Northwest Miami-Dade?
Well, I could tell you the blasting, like you said, is vital. That's number one. That's the most important priority for us on the state side. I know we're trying a different strategy too with the federal government, but yeah, you've done a lot of the legwork, specifically educating the people in leadership that didn't know about this issue. So I think next year there's going to be a great opportunity to hopefully get that through, get that committee hearing, because I think that's getting that committee hearing, that one committee hearing. It creates more opportunities, because then you have a bill analysis, you have all, and I know you're gonna make it happen. But yeah, you did a great job for being a freshman legislator, for starting to understand the process up in Tallahassee. You really did a great job, and you're highly respected by your colleagues. So I know you're gonna be extremely successful up there representing the town. So you delivered on a water project. You delivered on educating the people that didn't know about blasting. And I think the sky's the limit. So, you're heading in the right direction, to be very honest with you.
Well, Mayor, thank you so much for having me. And again, we're going to keep working on the blasting issue. We're gonna work to make sure that it's fine-tuned and better suited to move forward.
So we'll see you next week, Wednesday. Tune in on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Take care.